Hello viewers and welcome to another match of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. My name is Mitch and I am the Hive Tyrant. Today we've got another Death World Cycle Proxy match featuring Jain Zar. She's the 4th Eldar faction warlord and she's going to debut in War Pack 5 of Death World against the Great Enemy. She's a 2/6 with the interrupt. When your opponent targets a unit you control at her planet with a triggered effect, cancel that effect, albeit limit once per round, and her entire signature squad really centers around cancellation and nullification of card effects. On the opposite end of the table here, we've got Whiteblade, Eric Keilback, playing as Zarathur High Sorcerer. He's got an interrupt, which triggers often, and really, the more opportunities Jain Zar has to cancel effects, the better. Both of our players have decided, let's see here, Eric is going to be keeping his opening hand, and at the bottom, the south of our screen, we see War Master Sam Mann himself. He did decide to mulligan, and his very first play is going to be something that makes Jain Zar absolutely ridiculous against Zarathur. Eric calls out a little bit of dismay, and yeah, Sam's first deploy here, akin to a Broderick War dropping out a troop transport. This is the Mask of Jain Zar. It's a 1-cost relic attached to the Warlord. After an enemy unit at this planet triggers an ability, deal 1 damage to that unit. Zarathur triggers a whole hell of a lot of abilities. So let's hope our warlords aren't commit to the same planet. Planet number 1, by the way, is going to be Barless, the forced random card discard planet. At planet number 5, Zarathur plays out a rogue trader for early game resource bonus. Note that it's sitting wisely at a card planet. Sam's put out a copy of Bone Singer Choir to put into play a copy of Wild Rider Viper for the mere cost of 3, augmented up to 4 thanks to a Slaanesh Temptation affixed to planet number 3 here. This Wild Rider Viper is a mobile unit, so it's going to be able to shift to planet number 1 or to planet number 3 as is necessary. Jain Zar herself is going to be able to pretty safely commit to planet number 3 to get rid of to get rid of the Slaanesh Temptation affixed to Aatrox Prime. She can trigger a battle, she can deal a point of damage to an adjacent planet, enemy units at adjacent planets, or the enemy HQ. I wouldn't be surprised to see planet number 1 either vanish into the Nether, or otherwise, we may well see Sam shift his Viper to planet number 1 just to win it. Note that Sam, playing as Jain Zar, does happen to possess initiative, but as Zarathur shows up at planet number 1 and Jain Zar is not there, then that will be the Wild Rider Viper. Let's say if it goes here, if Zarathur shows up, Zarathur will have initiative. Both of our players are currently deciding where exactly they want to send their respective warlords, and in regard to combat tricks, looks like both of our players have decided to go to planet number 1. So this is going to be very interesting again. Jain Zar is when your opponent targets a unit you control with a triggered effect. You can basically just cancel that effect outright, limit once per round, no need to exhaust or anything like that. Eric doesn't have any combat tricks in his hand, and then for command struggles, looks like it's going to be planets 2 for Sam, and it's going to be planets 1, 4, and 5 for Eric. Something I like about these players is they play rather quickly. Hopefully they're not going too quickly for everyone to keep up. Eric's going to get 5 cards, 2 resources relative to Sam's 2 resources. What exactly does Sam have in his hand? He's got a copy of Gift of Isha. The Wild Rider Viper shifts from planet number 2 to planet number 1. It's going to be Sam with initiative. He's going to be able to attack. Eric has got a copy of Goth Brawlers, 2-cost, 2/3. While you control a non-orc warlord, which is indeed the case, it's going to be after it readies, each player deals an indirect damage among units they control. Zarathur is going to take a swing of 5 directly to his face. It's going to be decreased by 2 thanks to the timely discard of a copy of the Prince's Might. That's going to be Zarathur with 3 points of damage. Note that Iridial is not going to be a planet on the board here. That is going to be the Zarathur using his combat turn to retreat. The Goth Brawlers are going to take 2 points of damage at planet number 1, and now they're going to have an opportunity to attack, and this is going to be a sterling opportunity for Jain Zar to cancel a card effect. So Wild Rider Viper takes only 2 points of damage from the Goth Brawlers. If Zarathur were there, they could have increased it to 3, but then the Goth Brawlers would have been destroyed. So it looks like what we saw here is the Goth Brawlers attempted to use their reaction So let's see here. It's after this, so I'm just going to go ahead and explain. So reactions are, let's see here. It's after triggers an ability. So after triggers ability. So, let's see. I would say after triggers an ability is probably like after resolving an ability, but Sam can cancel also, I think. So, okay. So to make, okay, never mind. Never mind then. Okay, so, yes, alright. So here's what happened. Let me take a look at the little golf brawlers here. So the way that it works is its reaction after it readies, each player deals an indirect damage among units they control. Eric triggered that ability, and Mask of Jain Zar processed, and it dealt 1 point of damage, which was not shielded, to the golf brawlers. They were killed, and Jain Zar can only cancel targeted effects. So I'll just say, my bad, forgot it had to target. Yep, so there we go. But we're going through another HQ phase. That's 4 resources and 2 cards for each of our players. We've got an ammo depot for Zarathur so he can draw additional cards. Our new planet number 1 is going to be Ossus 4, the Steal a Resource planet. And our planet number 1 there was the Forced Random Card Discard planet Barless, and we saw a copy of Zarathur's Flamers discarded by Eric. We've now got a copy of Wild Rider Squadron, played at planet number 2 by Sam, so it's going to be able to, as a combat action, move to either planets number 1 or planet number 3. We've got that Splintered Path Acolyte, played by Eric at planet number 5, and now we see a copy of Star Cannon on the Wild Rider Squadron, so it's going to be able to attack for 3 armor bane, and Zarathur only has 3 HP remaining, so he's going to have to be incredibly careful lest he end up being outright annihilated by that kind of effect there. So Sam at present has just got 1 green strong point type icon, planet number 1, which the Wild Rider Squadron could win off initiative by itself, although there's now a Noise Marine Zealot at planet number 1. That would be a pair of green icons for Sam. So we've got a Noise Marine Zealots, which alongside a Warlord, it's going to be able to attack as a 4/3. Alongside Zarathur, it can attack as essentially a 5 damage unit. Sam has got his Wild Rider Viper with only 1 hit point remaining in his HQ. Note that Bonesinger Choir allowed him to put this Wild Rider Squadron into play at the same planet as Slanesh's Temptation for a mere 2. And Sam has also got a copy of his signature support in his hand. So this is the 2-cost Intercept. And it's after your opponent targets a single unit with a card effect, you can exhaust it to change the target to a target unit you control. So if your opponent does something detrimental to one of your units, you can change it to a less offensive target, or if they do something beneficial to theirs, you can change that to one of your units. At planet number 1, we've got a copy of Sam Mann Kinsman. It's at a green planet, so it's going to be a 2/2 with a command icon for 1, and now there is a copy of Zarathur's Flamers also at planet number 1, so it's going to be a 2-cost 2/2 with a command icon as well, and as an action you can sacrifice it to deal damage to units. We've got a copy of Promotion on the same Han Kinsman, and I would not be hugely surprised to see the Zarathur's Flamers sacrifice now to kill the Kinsman, because it's got 3 command icons versus 2, but 0 versus 1. If both Warlords again show up, means that that's going to be victory command struggle-wise for Eric. Eric has got 4 cards in hand. He's getting increasingly close to the threshold with which he can use Ammo Depot. And let's see where our players are going to decide to go. Each time, like if Jain Zar and Zarathur show up at the same planet again, if Zarathur triggers his entirely optional interrupt, that is going to be a point of damage dealt to Zarathur. And of course, if these Zarathur's Flamers trigger their ability, that could be, well, it's a targeted effect. So it looks like Eric lost his opportunity. Jain Zar is now going to be able to once per round cancel this kind of effect here. That's going to be 3 cards and 2 resources for Eric. He got a copy of Infernal Gateway, and he's got enough resources to use it to drop into play like a Zarathur's Flamers or Rotten Plaguebearer. But those Plague Bears aren't going to be as good without Zarathur. And Sam only got... What exactly did he get? He got 1 card, 1 resource. He got a copy of his Fire Warrior Elite, which Sam is incredibly fond of. Unlike so many members of our community, it seems like Sam is just the lone champion of that card. But planet number 1, we see mobile Wild Rider Viper shifts away from that planet to planet number 2, where it can live to do some sort of command struggle win the following round, because it's got 2 command icons, pretty damn decent. And now we are getting ready to be embroiled in combat here. So Zarathur has got 3 hit points remaining, but he's got initiative. We could see Noise Marine Zealots attack for 5 against Jain Zar, but then Eric would take a point of damage, which is shieldable. No, Zarathur retreats. As the first action, this Noise Marine Zealots, if Jain Zar vanishes from the planet, it's only going to be able to attack as a 2/3. It's now going to be Sam's opportunity to attack. And of course, why would Sam not do this? He moves in the Wild Rider Squadron. It's going to be able to attack for 3 Armor Bane, and that is going to be a dead copy of the Noise Marine Zealots here. So fascinatingly enough, Sam decides to move his Wild Rider Viper back to this planet. We see the squadron swing. They kill with no opportunity to shield the Zealots, and now Zarathur's Flamers attack, swing, and kill that copy of the Wild Rider Viper. Now it's going to be up to Sam. He's going to be able to swing twice to kill off Zarathur's Flamers. Really, the only thing that Eric is going to be able to do is he's got a 2 shield value card in hand, and he's also got a copy of Infernal Gateway to put into play either Zarathur's Flamers to attack for 2 and then be sacrificed for 2. But if you were to sacrifice them, Jain Zar could use her interrupt to cancel that effect. And then, of course, the Rotten Plague Bearers, because that targets units, Jain Zar can cancel that effect too. So, spoiler alert, we definitely chose the Jain Zar versus Zarathur matchup because it's going to be the number 1 most difficult match, I think. Like, she's most advantaged against poor Zarathur here, so I wanted an opportunity for her to really be able to flex her muscles. Note that the topmost Eldar card of Sam's discard pile is going to be a copy of Wild Rider Viper, and he's got an adequate number of resources with which to use a Gift of Isha. Sam Han Kinsman kills Zarathur's Flamers. Sam captures Ossus 4. That's going to be 2 green strongpoint icons in his victory display, but alas, Sam isn't going to be able to see a victory condition until planet number 4 here, because we go through another HQ phase. That's going to be 4 resources and 2 cards for each of our players. Sam gets a copy of Nullify to cancel events, and he also got a copy of Banshee Assault Squad. So this is after you cancel a card effect, you can put that unit into play from your hand at a planet. Totally passes the vanilla test as a 2 cost with stats equal to double its cost, and it's got a command icon. We see Intercept being dropped into play. That's probably not going to be the most tremendously useful support over the course of this game, although you'd be able to do something along the lines of change the target of a Tzeentch's Firestorm from, say, your Wild Rider Squadron to your Sam Han Kinsman. Jain Zar is now going to be able to show up at whatever planet she'd like to drop off these units. The Wild Rider Squadron is going to be able to, as a combat action, move away from that planet, so she might go to her victory condition planet very prematurely, or we might see herself set herself up elsewhere. Sam doesn't really have any significant combat units to play at the first planet. Zarathur is, of course, doing much, much better in regard to command. We've got a Fire Warrior Elite being played to planet number 1. It's a 1/5, and either Zarathur can try to contest the presence of that unit, or, you know, like if Zarathur shows up at this planet, he's presumably going to be able to beat a 1/5. Zarathur drops a Snakebite Thug at that planet, and now where exactly are our players going to be sending their warlords? We could have Jain Zar potentially show up at, say, planet number 2. The Wild Rider Squadron could move from 2 to planet number 1, but it's going to be exhausted arriving alongside a warlord, but Jain Zar, fighting against a Rotten Plague Bears, is going to be able to use her interrupt to cancel a targeted effect, and that Rotten Plague Bears is going to be very dead, and Karnath, as the wildcard planet, is going to allow Sam to trigger the battle ability of any of these planets he would like. Zarathur might be able to show up at either 4 or 2 and win a battle there and trigger a healing effect or rout a unit, although that is a targeted effect, but it's also at the last planet, so Jain Zar is not going to be like sitting someplace. Sam is continuing to bully the first planet. Looks like it's going to be planet number 2 for Zarathur, and it's going to be planet number 1 for Sam. So Zarathur is going to be potentially taking a point of damage here from Aatrox Prime, but Karrnath could well trigger Iridial, and then that could be 4 points of damage removed from Zarathur here. So it looks like Jain Zar is definitely advantaged in this matchup, but definitely Whiteblade has been doing much, much better economically, and look at all the shield cards he's starting to amass, and he's also got a copy of the Prince's Might to make his demons. Note that Zarathur himself is not a demon, unable to be damaged by units with printed cost 2 or lower, which includes Sam Han Kinsman, but not the Fire Warrior Elite, or the Wild Rider Squadron, or that Gift of Isha, a Bull Wild Rider Squadron. Sam at planet number 1, that's going to be Jain Zar, swing for 2 at the Snakebite Thug. Snakebite Thug is going to be taking a swing at that Fire Warrior Elite. So okay, I'm not going to interfere, but since there was a forced reaction triggered, I believe that also triggers the Mask of Jain Zar. So that Snakebite Thug, after it resolves its attack, it deals itself a point of damage, and then the Mask of Jain Zar does that as well. The Fire Warrior Elite essentially sucked up the attack there, and prior to winning the battle at the first planet, looks like, okay, so we had all of these units ready because Sam didn't trigger the Mask of Jain Zar. That was an opportunity for the Wild Rider Squadron to move to planet number 2, and now it's going to be up to Whiteblade, who what did he get? So he drew quite a lot during command. I can't quite find it, but anyways, he's just got a giant glut of cards. He's now got 6 resources, and he's going to be able to do a Tzeentch's Firestorm to remove the Wild Rider Squadron, but then again, Sam has got a copy of Nullify. And should he nullify a event like Tzeentch's Firestorm, he can put his Banshee Assault Squad into play at a planet, and that would happen to be whatever planet he would like. So, looks like Sam is going to be... okay, so this is going to be intercept after your opponent targets a single unit with a card effect. Okay, so, alright, so it's after your opponent targets a single unit with a card effect. So the target is going to be changed. I will say, I think it's 1 also. So basically, Rotten Plague Bears is going to be targeting Wild Rider Squadron. The target is going to be changed, thanks to Intercept, to the same Han Kinsman. But, well, maybe it'll be the same Han Kinsman. Maybe not. Sam's got to think about it, because the Kinsman, as it's not at a green planet, only has got 1 hit point. So it looks like Sam actually decides not to do that. He decides to simply shield for 1, so the Wild Rider Squadron takes 1, as opposed to Sam using Intercept to change that, and now it's going to be a Bloodied Warlord if we don't see what is it going to be. So this is going to be 2 points of damage on this Tzeentch's Firestorm here. And it looks like this is going to end up being pretty devious, so now we see Interrupt is going to be changing that 1 point of damage. Okay, so it was basically Tzeentch's Firestorm played for 1 resource, and then it's changed to Fire Warrior Elite. So Zarathur doesn't have an opportunity to target this. Okay, so the wounded unit is not present at Zarathur's planet, so he doesn't have an opportunity to augment that damage. That Tzeentch's Firestorm was done, and then Sam uses the opportunity to put out his Wild Rider Viper. Now we see Tzeentch's Firestorm, and if Sam uses Nullify, he could. Yep, that's going to be Nullify, canceling. Wow, so that was a grand total of 4 resources invested in that Tzeentch's Firestorm, and that is going to be nullified, so that is so many resources pissed away. Whiteblade is going to be down to 1 resource. He used 2 shield cards. If Sam wanted, he could have used his Banshee Assault Squad being put into play at this planet, but it looks like he need not have necessarily bothered. So okay, no, he is going to do that. So that's going to be Banshee Assault Squad being put into play for free, and that is going to be, I guess, just Whiteblade with an opportunity to do Infernal Gateway is really his only way out of this. All right, so after taking a moment to assess our options, it looks like this match is almost over. Sam got his Banshee Assault Squad into play. Wild Rider Squadron manages to attack for 3. Armor Bane Zarathur is going to be bloodied. The only thing that Zarathur could at this point do is do Infernal Gateway to do something like drop a Zarathur's Flamers into play, and that's really the only option. It wouldn't have been able to do enough to make a big difference here. Wild Rider Squadron was almost dead, but there was still the Viper to chew through. There was still the Banshee Assault Squad to chew through, so things were looking very, very difficult for Zarathur, but we definitely wanted an opportunity to show off what exactly it is that Jain Zar could do. That's going to be a blue and a red icon added to Sam's victory display. Karrnath triggers Eloith, so Sam gets an opportunity to look for a card. He pulls a Mighty Wraith Knight, which synergizes perfectly with Bonesinger Choir, so I suppose we may as well call out the GG right there. So Eric Keilback being a fantastic sport, being a proper enough sir to allow Sam and I the opportunity to let Jain Zar flex her muscles and show what exactly she is doing. So that ended up being a very fast little match, but it was a lot of fun. Hopefully everybody managed to keep up. I had a good time. Hopefully all of you viewers did as well. So look forward to Jain Zar to make her debut in Pack 5 of the Death World cycle against the Great Enemy. Certainly she's going to be getting a fair few cards between now and then. We've yet to see the entire contents of Pack 3 and 4. Eldar is going to be getting a Warlord in Pack 5, and then in Pack 6 as well. She is hopefully going to be getting some new tools in there indeed. So, I mean, look at that ability. You cancel card effects. What's not to love about that? I really feel like you could just toss her into pretty much any given card pool and she's going to excel, especially with an opportunity to play against warlords like Zarathur, where they're potentially triggering card effects all day, every day. It's pretty nuts, and the Mask of Jain Zar coming out on turn 1 definitely did not help Eric's odds, but congratulations to Sam Mann. And of course, thank you so much to Eric Keilback for humoring the two of us. So, look forward to a much more fair and balanced Jain Zar game to come soon. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. And as always, if you enjoyed this content, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share this content so more people see Conquest. We continue to grow this living card game. And if you want to get in touch with me, the Hive Tyrant, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, and if you feel like being a kind gentleman or gentle lady, you're definitely encouraged to make a small donation to my Patreon. So, as always, thank you so much for watching, and once again, be sure to check back in again soon for much more Conquest LCG content to come.